What's up everyone, I'm going to show you how I made this one. So now that we're on Serum, first of all, I'm going to go over the basic shapes. I'm going to use the sawtooth wave. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to modulate the envelope 2 to the coarse pitch of the oscillator A. I'm going to set the sustain down, I'm going to create a ramp down, and I'm going to put the decay at around 450 milliseconds. I'm going to modulate envelope 2 to the coarse pitch. First of all, I want to make this unipolar. I want to set this to around 50%. Let's see how it sounds. I'm going to remove the fundamental. I'm going to go over the process, remove fundamental. I want to add a clean sub. Let's see how it sounds. It sounds stronger. I want to add a noise to the sound, so I'm going to go over to the noise oscillator. Anything between alpha and Z and bright white will do. I'm going to go over here and select alpha and Z. Let's see how it sounds. I'm going to go over here as well, modulate LF envelope 2 to the level. I'm going to set this to around 65. On the oscillator A section, I'm going to go to the warp mode and select band plus minus, and I'm going to modulate the LFO1 with this. I'm going to set this to trigger mode and put this to half a bar. Also make the MIDI note longer. I'm not going to touch the effects right now. I want to set the random down so that the sound that is playing is consistent. Let's go ahead and process this. I'm gonna first of all add a Fruity Blood overdrive, put this at around 0.3. I'm gonna put this down to around 3 as well, because when I put this up, the volume usually goes up, so we want to put the post gain down as well. Next up, I'm going to add a small preset that I created, simple one. It's called the saturation send, because I don't really want the saturation to affect the low frequencies. And sometimes I like to choose which frequencies the saturation affects the sound, so I have more control over the effect that it has. So basically there is a dry signal, and then there's a wet signal with the saturation. Let's see how it sounds just with this preset, sorry. I am going to change this a little bit, the saturation. I don't want too much saturation. I'm going to put this between 1.5. I think it's pretty good. I want to EQ the saturation a little bit. So I'm going to put the low mids a little bit down. Really have to be careful around the 1 to 4K kilohertz area. I don't really want the very highs on this sound. I'm going to add a reverb as well. Again, I have a small preset. Every time I want to add a reverb to certain sounds, especially bass sounds, I don't really want the low frequencies to be affected by it. I'm going to try it out with the MPXI reverb because I want to make a spacey sound. The preset's just this one. I don't really change this. What I want to change is a little bit is the EQ of the reverb. I'm going to put this down a little bit. Definitely sounds more spacey. I want to EQ this a little bit. And I'm going to cut the very highs as well, 11K. I'm going to add a compressor, supercharger. I like this compressor for bass sounds, to be honest, because you also have the punch and dirt option, which are pretty cool. It makes the sound more aggressive, basically. Okay, I just realized that the sound was actually pretty different from what it was sounding like. It's because I had an OTT on my master. I don't really know why. I guess I put it by accident in here, but I just removed it. I also want to add surgical EQ. If you go over to spend, you'll see that the low frequencies are higher than the high frequencies. Usually want the low frequencies being the same volume as the high frequencies. I'm going to remove a little bit of the very lows. I'm also going to remove the muddiness of 250 hertz area. 3K area. Remove this too a little bit. And I'm going to compensate with a little bit more of the highs. As you can see right now, it doesn't really sound that great. I'm going to add an OTT. I don't want the OTT to influence the sound 100%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the highs and the mids a bit higher, and I'm going to ease up on the sub a little bit because I don't really want the sub frequencies to be too compressed. Mix this in maybe to 35%, around that. I'm going to add a final EQ just to remove the very lows and the very highs. I'm going to set this to linear phase so that I don't really have phase problems. So this is how it sounds without the effects. Let's just go over to the effects section. So I'm going to start with hyper and dimension. You always want to make sure when you set the stereo width, effects, make sure how it sounds in mono. As you can see, it's a bit phasey, but it's okay because in this case, I actually want the sound to be a bit phasey. Put the size down a little bit, and the mix, I'm going to go up with the mix a little bit. I'm going to add drive, crank it all up. And now we can actually start to get closer to the sound we want to achieve. I'm going to go over to post to remove the frequencies after distortion, and I'm going to remove everything above 11K. I also want to add a chorus. I'm going to put the delay down, depth as well, low pass filter as well. Let's see how it sounds in mono. Let's add a multiband compressor. This is basically an emulation of OTT. It's a multiband compressor as well. If you turn on multiband mode, ease up on the threshold, put the ratio down a little bit. 1.4 is fine. The attack can go a little bit down, release. First of all, I want to add a flanger, and what I want to do with the flanger is I want to emphasize that kind of going down effect, and therefore I want to modulate the depth. With LFO2, I'm going to create a ramp down. I want to set this trigger mode and put this to 1 bar. As you can see, it's pretty cool. Don't really want this to be at 100%. I'm going to put this at around 84, 85. Let's see how it sounds in mono. Now I want to add an EQ. I'm going to put this before. I want to remove some muddiness that it's pretty evident around the 160 Hertz area. I want to put the gain down. Let's see if it's here. Yeah, exactly. I want to set this down to maybe 3.8, 3.5, something like that. Yeah, it kind of helps. What I want to do as well, I want to emphasize the attack. I'm going to put this a little bit up, the gain. I'm going to set the envelope to unipolar and put this at around something between 11%. It's pretty 15, 11. Yeah, the Q factor can go down a little bit so that it's not that steep before and after. I'm gonna add some delay and reverb. First of all, delay, ping pong mode, so that it goes from left to right. The filters, so that I want to filter out the low frequencies and the very highs as well from the delay. What I want to do as well is I want to create another LFO, and I want to make the delay stronger as the sound is reaching its end. I want to modulate the LFO3 to the delay. I'm going to set this to around 35%. I'm going to put this to trigger mode, 2 bars maybe. That's kind of what I want, and I want to emphasize this even more with the reverb. The hall reverb, it's pretty decent, pretty fine for me, low cut, so that it doesn't really affect the low frequencies, high cut, and the mix knob. I'm going to basically do the same as I did with the mix knob of the filter, 42%, maybe like this. Yeah, and I'm going to alter this, set this to maybe 43%. And that's how you design this impact bass. I hope you liked it. See you soon. Make sure to like and subscribe for more tutorials like this.